Welcome to today's episode of Echoes of History, where we dive into interesting and important aspects of our history. I'm your host, Frecnh, and today we're discussing the XYZ Affair and the Quasi-War between the United States and France. It is a story of failed diplomacy, rising tensions, and naval skirmishes in the late 18th century. So grab your historical compass as we set sail on this fascinating journey.
The Quasi-War, though not declared as an official war, was a conflict between the young United States and revolutionary France. Spanning from 1798 to 1800, it consisted of small naval engagements and political talks, rather than large-scale battles. It was a result of the XYZ Affair, which was a failed political mission between American and French diplomats, concerning French privateers seizing American goods in light of the Jay Treaty with Great Britain.
To understand the Quasi-War, we need to rewind to the late 18th century. The United States, fresh from its victory in the Revolutionary War, was trying to establish itself on the world stage. The Treaty of Paris that ended the Revolution left a lot to be desired, mostly regarding trade with the British Empire. In hopes of gaining more trading rights, the U.S. entered negotiations with Great Britain and signed the Jay Treaty, improving U.S.-British relations and increasing trade. In 1792, the war broke out between France and Britain, the War of the First Coalition. The U.S., having just signed the Jay Treaty with Britain, declared itself neutral, wanting to stay on good terms. This angered the revolutionary France, since the U.S. had signed several treaties with France. However, the United States viewed these treaties as dissolved when the king was overthrown. With seeming betrayal by the United States, its trade with France's enemies, Great Britain, France allowed its privateers to seize American merchant ships, escalating the situation.
Tensions reached a boiling point during the XYZ Affair 1797 to 1798. 3 American diplomats were sent to France to resolve the issues by meeting with the foreign minister. However, in the disorganized government of revolutionary France, the American diplomats had trouble meeting with the minister, only being met by lower-level officials. These officials would be where the XYZ name came from. They presented France's terms, which had to be met before a meeting was allowed. The terms were considered unreasonable, however, with France asking for low-interest loans and reparations as well as large personal bribes. Despite this, neither side wanted a war. However, the U.S. diplomats denied the terms and the foreign minister kept delaying meetings. After the diplomats refused once again, the minister finally met and dropped most of his demands, but they were still seen as outrageous. Eventually, after no negotiations were made, 2 of the 3 diplomats left, while the third stayed to try and prevent a war. Back in the U.S., President John Adams was briefed on the situation and made preparations for a war. However, Democratic Republicans in the government questioned why war preparations were being made and questioned Adams' motives, pressing him to release the diplomatic correspondence. Adams, knowing he was justified, released the correspondence. The only change being made was the names of the French officials being changed to the letters W, X, Y, and Z, the namesake of the affair. As the news got out, anti-French sentiment grew in the public, and war was being called for. The Federalists in control of Congress supported Adams and gave funding to the Navy to help deter and fight French privateers. Several frigates were built and sent to the Caribbean, fighting the French Navy and French privateers.
The naval engagements of the Quasi-War were relatively limited in scale, but had significant impacts. The U.S. Navy, still in its formative years, performed well, capturing numerous French privateers and protecting American commerce. This period saw the rise of naval heroes like Commodore John Barry and the establishment of stronger naval presence. Amidst these naval clashes, diplomacy continued. In 1800, the Convention of Mortagne was signed, ending hostilities. The treaty restored peace between 2 nations and resolved many issues that had led to the conflict.
The Quasi-War left a lasting legacy. It demonstrated the importance of a capable navy for the United States and highlighted the complexities of international relations in the early years of the Republic. The conflict also paved way for the eventual Louisiana Purchase, as the U.S. and France moved towards more amicable relations. And so, the Quasi-War, a conflict fought in the shadows of diplomacy and naval engagements, marked a crucial chapter in the early history of the United States. It reminded the young nation of the delicate balance needed in international affairs and set the stage for future endeavors on the world stage.
Thank you for joining us on this voyage through history. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the Quasi-War and its impact on the young American Republic. Until next time, this is Tommy signing off from Echoes of History. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. Farewell, and see you in our next episode.